good? Very good. Yep. Mm. Yeah. Hello. Check. Check. Two. One, two. Okay. Here we go. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming to this show. This is called The Art of Play. And we have on stage introducing Lauren P. and Clark. She's the owner of Show and Love Shop, and it's spelled S-E-W. So we're playing her shop makes handmade earrings, purses, forever calendars, and various other handmade items. The prices for handmade items with cast stamps and more. In addition to sewing, Lauren is a singer, songwriter, actor, and post and more. She was born and raised in Charlotte, which is unusual these days, and is a graduate of Northwest Georgia Arts. Please welcome Lauren P. Thank you for clapping. Sheila Collins in the center position here is, as many of us in Charlotte, Sheila is a recent newbie to the city. Before, I think it was. She was born and raised in rural Mohawk Valley, and that's central New York, New York State. She became intrigued with creative jewelry by wire wrapping the beautiful stones and crystals produced by nature. Self-taught in this medium, she started by making pendants. It hasn't stopped since. What did you say? 6 years ago. Okay. She loves to set her stones as wearable art. And in the work that she does, her goal is to creatively frame each stone in a way that displays its unique quality. So the work that she does is creative. Please welcome Sheila Collins. Kate Williams. Kate has always loved jewelry and became more interested in art generally as she got older, as most of us do, and I'm really in 2019, she discovered primary story and became a creative outlet. She started her company, Logan and Rent, and as she says, I could no longer wear all of the earrings that I was making. So Kate, making jewelry has largely become a way to play around with different materials, colors, and textures. Please welcome Kate Williams. I'm not kidding. I'm trying to think correctly. So my first question, of course, is what, and it's not the name of the today, how much was the first thing to jewelry as a chosen medium? What drew you to it? What kind of thing?
It was actually my mom. I had already been doing plastic for many years, and I made something, I can't remember what it was. She was like, oh, you're such a cute woman. I went home that night, made a pair, gave them to my sister the next day, she's been wearing them ever since.
Are you wearing them now? Yes, look at that. Sister is in the audience. Sure.
So it's not the type of jewelry that I make in a shop every day. And I looked at it, and studied it, and looked at it, and I said, I really want to look it up. And my next question was, how do people make this? So I just one day got some wire, got a few stones, and started wire wrapping. place to school. But I am self-taught and got better over time, and I love what I do. So I made change in my question because I was interested in living and I kind of did those, oh, can I make that? Can I make something like that? And so I think that, I guess it was about 6 years ago, finally I realized that telling my coworkers a few things that I saw probably on Pinterest or something like that. I was just like, oh, how cool is that? And I had never played with sewing, so okay, you realize, like I'm a therapy, right? So we have to look at maps, look at, where to use it and all that kind of stuff. So that's really what my job is basically. So I'm creating the different pieces of it.
Okay. So the term artist craft is title of the topic of the day here. So what would be your kind of feeling or definition of the art of craft?
Maybe I like playing with the canvas and going into something and having an idea of what I wanted to be in my head and turning it into that.
So it's always part of the part of the thinking.
So this is something not to Google.
Not to Google?
Because if you do, it takes you down a rabbit hole. So the artist craft, sometimes I think you know it when you see it. You see craft as art when you see the process. I don't know how many people watch the Great British Baking Show. But we were watching one or two episodes recently, and it was when they were showing 12 baking shows, and I was intrigued by one because every time they showed him making, I said, he's an artist. And the rest of them to bake, they baked great cakes, but you could tell that his was different by the way he was pouring himself into it, and you could see some of his soul in what he was doing. And I think that's the distinction for me.
So they're pretty deep. Okay, great. What do you think?
Yeah, I would actually very much agree with that. As I was thinking about it, it was almost more of a an art sort of thing. Because as I was trying to just think about, well, what is the distinction? And I think the distinction is that intentionality and purposeful doing it, and how much of yourself you're really willing to put into it. So there's plenty of things that I say where you're like, like it's there, I think it is, but it's not. It doesn't have enough penetration into it.
So as an artist, the approach is different. The whole kind of way of thinking is a different way of thinking than just about kind of making up a book. So there's always been a question about when does art or when does craft become art? I feel like most of it, when it comes from a place that is from here. So let's talk about process and materials. What materials teach you mostly from materials? And talk about some of the things you use now and what kind of things you use.
For me, it's yarn. I'm half in love with the yarn, and as a person, the yarn is my life.
Yeah. And what kind of yarn? So, I'm sorry. Pretty tough. Pure? What do you think?
I love to use quality materials, and for me, it's first. And I love to select things. I select each thing individually, and the stone to speak to me. There's something distinctive or intriguing or particularly beautiful intensive wire, I worked with 14 karat gold cold wire, which is very durable, and also sterling silver wire. And I spent a long time thinking about which goes better with the stone and how well it's going to work together. Yeah, for me, I think as well is the combination of materials, the combination of textures, because they sometimes they'll fit, sometimes they won't. I never really pay attention to the texture of something, but even when it fits, whenever you start to put it together, sometimes it looks really good and sometimes it doesn't. And so all those combinations of, because I'll use clay a lot of the time, but sometimes it's loose, sometimes it's black, sometimes it's leather, sometimes it's all of them put together, and so it's really just a matter of how they're working together and whether the combination makes sense to me or not.
So, two points. These visual paintings, and change the direction of the light, and sometimes mistakes are made. How do those mistakes, as you don't know, lead to something like that work?
I would say so. A lot of times when you're thinking about, for example, I was trying to cut out a triangle to put into a post. It didn't turn out right for the post, but I made a plan. And so now there are plans and bookmarks for people. So I would say absolutely as well. You want something to build on together. And I don't design ahead of time. So I have a starting point and that's all. And then I kind of go where the stone takes it. And I find that sometimes when I get an idea and decide that it needs to go a particular way, then I don't quite look out that way. And then I say, okay, so now what? And it goes off in a different direction, and usually I'm more satisfied with it than I would have been if we did the contact. Yeah, I think, well, 100% agree on everything that Steve said. I think in the same way, I also think of it as, from an author's perspective, it's like we even work with an author who is writing a story that wants to be told with someone that has to. And I think it's the same thing too. A lot of times it's like, okay, well, I want it to do this, but that doesn't work. So what is the story that makes it do that?
The stories that always when you're creating it?
Sometimes there's nothing.
Sometimes it was good. It's good to come. So unlike many forms of art and making, jewelry is something that is worn, carried, and livable. It's kind of a very personal choice that people make, right? So how does designing for the body influence your thinking as an artist?
I want to make sure that what I make is comfortable. And suit my values, and for example, I want to do that with like organic really fit things that I make. I want to make sure that the training that I think is going to be done relevant to my things that's going to be
Sure.
when someone selecting a piece to purchase, and they're not sure they're trying to decide this one or that one, I often say what piece is fine to you. And that's how they choose things. On a practical level, when you're working with wire and stone, it can take the clothing or the person. I don't want any of that to happen. So I'm always very conscious of making sure that everything that's stone and nothing could be damaging well.
Liability.
It does.
You don't want them coming back.
So that's the most important thing to me, and because it will be worn, I have to be very satisfied with it. This is something that the person will enjoy wearing, will be proud to wear. And so that's another piece that I was thinking about might change for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, from what was on there, I learned something on it, and then I'm like, oh, this is interesting, I'm going to do something else. Because I am not and then I'm like, oh, wait. So that definitely plays into it. But there's also times when I'm like, oh, people don't like big crazy earrings. Those things and go, okay, what are the practical pieces that I have to think about? Because it's really necessary to somebody getting, like, buying it, enjoying it. But also, if I don't really love it, and I'm like, I didn't walk up and select that, then I'm probably not going to make it.
Right. And that's a good way to kind of approach things as the artist, which leads to the next question. What do you wish people better understood about the value of handmade jewelry? That's a tough one.
The wear and tear
Wear and
that it
tear.
does on my hands.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It's a lot. Having to soak your hands and just constantly sewing all the. Sometimes people say
Right.
things like that.
Yeah. Well, that's another question.
Yeah.
Get to that later. Go ahead.
Okay, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
The first thing that came to I wish they understood the uniqueness of it. That it's a unique. Could I walk into Nordstrom or Belk or wherever and with intention and with heart? Um, that somebody thought about that piece. Somebody played with stones on a table and moved them around until they found just the right combination. So that's what I wish they would think about a little more.
Mm-hmm. What goes into it, and like how many people always ask, well, how long?
Years or 2 hours.
What do you think?
I think a lot of it is just going back to what we talked about before, that it, and I'm looking at it as a piece of art where I'm putting a part of my soul into it, and it's like, well, what did it take? Like, let me tell you what so the process out there, it is literally, it is about like, well, what can I go buy, or how much would I know we'll get to it, but like, that's not really what it's here for.
Right.
So.
Right. And every artist can relate to that. So how do you price your work? What goes into that thinking process?
I honestly, I look at it at that moment, and most of the time, if I'm out selling, it's like at the farmers market, somewhere like that. Um, and someone walks up, and I just determine at that moment. That's kind of how it's been going lately. Absolutely. I've said, oh, you can't bring that down to 50. You can't bring it. So it's kind of on a negotiation for me right now. Now on my when I sell on Etsy, I'm trying to keep my family always tells me.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say right now I'm
Ongoing. And, excuse me. And also, uh, Do I have a formula for the something? No, I don't. I know pricing is a very difficult thing because you want to price it based on the what you see as the value of it, but the other person may not see. Um, it is what it is, and people can make another choice if they'd like to.
So your prices range?
Have a range of prices from lower priced pieces to higher priced pieces, and that kind of happens now. Some are more expensive. So try and keep a range there so that there are some.
Okay, Kate?
I don't know that I'm going to say anything new. it's how much, what time, materials, but also
Do you ask them?
to hone it in.
We'll start with you this time.
Oh.
So you
I'm ready.
right. Some to express identity, status, protection, beauty, or all of the above. So what,
At least one of them. It's like
marketing strategy.
I could use
It's part of what I enjoy the most. So I just have to get back in the studio and work on something. And I really enjoy
Come out one way or the other.
Always, always do it no matter what.
There you
generally I don't get annoyed. No.
I have developed a particular style, which I like sticking to. Um, some wire wrapping artists focus on the wire wrap, and I don't. I focus more on the stone, um, and I want to make sure that how it's wrapped emphasizes the stone. Um, but I do want to make some bigger pieces, some fun pieces, some flashier pieces, um, just things that kind of catch your eye. I don't know how I'm going to do some of those pieces, but I'll figure it out.
I'm sure you will. Lauren, what do you think?
Well, I think tradition is always important with cross stitch. Like when I was younger, I started with my grandmother and I used to make um, those Kleenex box covers and Bible covers and things. And because of my mom's idea, now it's a whole purse. And I just want to. My sister brought me a book that taught me new stitches to do, and so
Isn't family great to have around?
yes, they are amazing. And so I think going from that to what I'm doing now, and I'm always trying to think of new ways to change it up every
Right. All right, here comes the hardest question. What does craft offer the world today? I'll give you a moment.
I think if we're talking about crafts, then that's something separate than art as craft.
Ooh.
So, if I'm starting there, I think what we're talking about, handmade crafting, so to speak, that there's a lot there because there are so many cheap knockoffs out there that whenever it is something that, as we've talked about, that like is a piece of what you are putting out, a piece of yourself that you're putting out there, that's a totally separate thing. And so there has to be an appreciation for it, but there's also, it's easier to make the cheap stuff. And so it's just a matter of like the people that are looking for something real finding it.
Yes, I think I agree. I think there's so much artificial out there, so much that is intended to break down in a couple of years, um, so much that doesn't have a lot of value. That craft as art um, offers people something enduring, something uh, meaningful, and I think it sparks a creative spirit in them. Uh, you can tell quality and originality when you see it. You can tell that something's going to last um, or will be special to someone when you see it. And I think that's what we do and others do offers the world.
Hmm.
day. I would say passion, and I would say originality. Um, like they were saying before, it's nobody else is going to have. If you buy a purse from me, there's nobody else on the planet that's gonna. You'll be the only one having it, and um, I think being original is something that a lot of people, you know, it. I'm sorry, I'm getting nervous. I think originality is, I would say, is my
Yeah.
answer.
And as designers, originality is important because you're trying to beat the other designers. So, in terms of competition, like how does that feel when you see other, vendors out there and their work is shining and their work is selling, and you're like, well, what am I doing?
For me, I just keep creating, and it's for who it's for.
Um, Same here. And I don't compete with the other designers. You know, they're creating something as well. They have something to offer. What we each offer is unique. And um, the things we create and the people who want them find each other. So, that's one of those things that I think it just all works out in the end. Stick with what you do. Don't worry about what somebody else is doing, and people will find your work.
I don't have much to add except that we can't control other people, so do what we do and do the best we can.
That's right.
And my mom always said, "Your gifts make room for you.
Your gifts made room for you.
Your gifts will always make room for you."
Ah, thanks, Mom. That was good. All right, so I'm going to open it up to the audience. Audience questions. Anybody? Tina, you had your hand up. Wait, Tina, we have a microphone. It's hard to hear you up here. Arthur's going to hand you a microphone.
So I wondered if you guys have a source of inspiration, whether it's other cultures or something you see, There's some direct inspiration you draw from, just the source.
I would say nature, that stones are a product of nature, and also the energy of the particular stones are motivating.
For me, I don't think there's any one thing. I think it's honestly just a matter of whether I'm in a place to be able to see the things around me that are inspirational or not.
I would say for me, it's not any one thing either. Um, it could be a TV show, it could be a jacket that someone has on that's walking by. Anything could give me inspiration.
Oh, well, you think you can first. You wait. Grab the mic so the people in TV land can hear you.
So this question is for the entire panel. Thanks. Uh, where, if we wanted to see your work up front and personal, not only on display, but maybe while you're making stuff, where could we do that?
So I'm on Instagram and TikTok at Lauren is so in love, SEW. And I have an Etsy shop as well, which I can't think of it right now, but if you go on my Instagram or TikTok, it's on there.
I also have a website through which I show and sell my pieces. It's SheilaWrapsStones.com. Also Instagram and Facebook at Sheila Wrap Stones. And my favorite place to for people to see my work is in person, of course. And I have a studio at Charlotte Studio Artists on North Davidson in Nova.
For me, Instagram, it's at Logan and Wentz, and then I have an Etsy shop, which, to be completely honest with you, I do a terrible job of updating
Me too.
because that is my least favorite part. And if you really want to see it right now, Lee has some of them in her studio upstairs, and she also has cards, which I forgot to grab. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to see it, it's upstairs.
Shout out to Lee. That's Lee B. Williams. The studio's great.
And I think we're also all wearing pieces
Yeah.
that we've made. So um, we'll be around a little bit afterwards if you want to look at the kind of work we do.
All right. Yes, Dean.
So, do each of you have a favorite piece, something that you made that you just think, man, that was the coolest thing that ever happened? You may have sold it or you may have retained it, but is there some piece that you just every time you think about it, you just smile?
I have a circle purse. I made a big circle purse that I just sold last week.
Mm.
And it's denim. It's denim colored.
Um, so every piece that I make, and I say this on my website, has to pass the um, I'd love to keep it and wear it myself test. Um, so that's a little hard to let some go sometimes. I would say the piece that I'm wearing is the one, and it's um, because the stone is meaningful to me, and the accent stone was given to me. Thank you. Um, so given that that was a gift that I used in my art, that's one that's meaningful that I want to keep.
Makes it special.
I think for me, it changes all the time. So it's more of the happy accidents that I'm like, oh, now that's my favorite. I'm gonna wear that for a while, and then I got to make something new. And so I don't think that there's any. There are obviously ones that I've come back around to a whole bunch, and there's plenty that I have and keep. But yeah, I think it just constantly shifting.
I'm interested actually in Sheila mentioned it, in the power of the stone. I have friends who, with crystals, they have certain. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, for thousands of years, um, throughout history, people have worn certain stones for particular reasons. And different stones carry different energy. Sometimes when I'm selecting a stone or when I'm working with a stone, I can actually feel it. Um, so um, some people think this doesn't make any sense at all, and other people really do believe that that stone carries an energy that is healing or protective or energizing. And honestly, I have found that to be true. So people haven't thought this for thousands of years for no reason. And that's why we have birthstones. That's why stones are associated sometimes, very often, with zodiac signs. That's why certain stones are associated with different chakras. So all of that information is readily available and has been passed down through the ages. So I just really appreciate it.
Kate, do you find that to be true?
I don't know.
Good answer. Do you work with stone at all? No. And the yarn doesn't have any chi? Okay. Okay. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? Doug, grab the mic.
What material or pattern or design challenged you the most, and how did you resolve it? Did it change to something else, or were you able to completely work through it, and what was the result?
I mean, I guess since I don't necessarily sketch everything out, I think Sheila was the same. That you just kind of play around with it until you get where you've figured out that you're going. There's been plenty of times where I think we're going in one direction and we end up somewhere else, but those are the ones um, that I think of, the happy accidents. Barbara. But where you kind of look at it and you go, actually, some of those are some of my favorites because, and I think some of that really does have to do with the fact that you fought through the process to get there. So, yeah.
For me, it's tiny pieces. You know, the smaller they are, sometimes the more difficult it is to work with and get right and still really show the stone well. And I run into that when I do custom pieces for people, and they say, "Oh, I have this kind of stone. Can you wrap it?" And I say, "Sure." And then they bring me a little itty bitty tiny stone. So being stubborn, I say, "Yeah, I can wrap that," and I do, but it's very challenging.
I would say for me, it's most custom orders. Um, a lot of people think that cross stitch is crochet, and it's not. So you can't just. There's a plastic canvas in between this that has holes in it, and so they'll say, "Can you crochet me?" They assume it's crochet, and it's not. But if I get a custom order, I do try to do the best I can, or I'll just say no, I can't. I can't do that.
Do you ever do crochet?
No, I would love to learn how to crochet, but I don't know
I can't teach. I, look at me. Any other questions?
Lauren, you picked up the first. I'm dying to
Oh,
see
sure.
how it. Can you open it and explain how it came
how.
together?
So this is one sheet of plastic canvas that I cut into the pattern, and then I sew the whole thing and roll it. And then these are plastic canvas circles on the side. I sew them and then I stitch it all together, um, and sew the handle into the top. It's all it's just a sheet of plastic canvas and the circles that I sew and put it all together.
It's so cool. I love
Oh,
that
thank you.
cylinder. And Sheila, you kind of already answered my question. I've been dying to know why you don't do earrings, and I guess because they're they'd have to be pretty big
Heavy.
or heavy, too heavy.
Uh, you know, good question. I usually I usually make pendants. I love to. I have gotten into making bracelets, so for me that's branching out. And people have asked me about earrings. So that's on my challenge list
So, all
right
right,
now.
okay.
Yeah.
And Kate, those silver rings, do you do silver work?
I do not.
They look
No.
they look like brass knuckles. I'm not messing with you. Could,
That was my goal the whole time.
can
No.
you hold up your
This,
yeah,
yeah.
they're very cool.
They're all of the pretty much all the rings that I buy are handmade because I don't do a lot of rings, but that's yeah.
And you all Lauren said the word hands, but when you were asking Michael what makes it so special, you are using your hands, your mind and your heart, but I mean, what's made by hand? Nothing. Oh, it,
Anymore, yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
back in the day, it was all the rage.
Right.
You know, thousands of years ago. It was.
Or even
No,
hundreds.
can you talk about it? I mean, when people question why is it $50, you should say, "Get these
Right,
hands."
right. I've bought gloves and
Oh,
I soak them. It just, but I'm gonna keep going no matter what. And when, if I can, if it ever comes a time when I can't sew, I'll try to cut the patterns out and sell the patterns of where and teach people how to make the purses on their own.
I was thinking about that when you said the value of it, when you said, well, I just do this and then I do this and then I do this. And I was thinking about all the work that that is. Yeah. And handmade, my nails are usually kind of a mess. And yeah, my knuckles aren't looking exactly like they used to. So it does, you know, put a strain on your hands when you're doing this work all the time. But in the end, that doesn't matter.
right.
I don't know that I have anything much else to add to that. I think it's just what are you gonna do that's better?
The challenge of making something that you haven't made before, and it's going to be really, really good. That's a question that artists always ask themselves. Right? Any other questions from the audience? Large turnout. All right. I think we're good to call it a day. Thank you all for being here. I hope that you enjoyed it and maybe learned something from the panel. Thank you to the panel very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you guys.
Thanks so much.
There's a tray of cookies at the bar. Please help yourself.